Yes, we are live. We are live. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So we are live tonight. We are live. We are live. So you can already share it with your friends, share the video, tag someone, tell them that we are already live tonight for another episode of leadership. So say to someone that we are already here, and I have with me my guest pastor Bose with me here. So please share it with someone. Tell someone that we are already on. And yes, yes, thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. And when you come in, just say hi to us and tell us where you are watching us from, and so that we can start. And we have a great topic tonight. We have a great topic tonight, the pastor's wife, and it's going to be wonderful. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for coming in. And when you come in, please share it with someone. Share it with someone. Share it with someone. Thank you, woman of God Lydia Elway from France. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you. And invite someone, tell someone that we're already on. So we are about to start today with a great topic. Tell someone, tag someone, tell them we are already on. Thank you all. Thank you for coming in. Let me just invite some few people, and then because I've shared the video already before, so I'm just gonna invite some people to join us tonight. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Tell us where you are tuning in from which country. Thank you all. Oh, okay. From Switzerland. Okay, thank you. God bless you in Switzerland. Share it with someone there and tell them that we are already on. Daniel Baseke, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Gazelle du Désert. Thank you. Tell us where you are watching us from, and we are about to start a great conversation tonight. A great conversation tonight. It's going to be really great. So invite someone, tell them we are already in. We are live. And I'm going to give the word to the pastor to introduce herself in few minutes. So let me just give you some few minutes to tune in and just say hi to us and tell us where you are watching us from. And so we are going to start in a few minutes. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you. Share the video with someone. It is wonderful tonight. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. So let me just give you some 2 more minutes to come in. Yes, yes. And we're gonna have a wonderful time tonight. Let me just make sure that I've shared this in my pages, in all the pages. Let me just make sure. Thank you, woman of God. Mom Nadine, thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Manchester, United Kingdom. Thank you. Thank you to identify all the pastor's wife in Manchester. That's my country. That's in Manchester. But that UK is really like my second home. Manchester is like my second home. So let me, I see that I didn't share that on my page. Let me just have it on. Thank you, woman of God, Welly. I think all the way from the Netherlands. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to share the video with someone and to tell them that we are already live tonight. And in about 2 minutes, I'm about to give the word to my guest today. We are all okay. We are already Okay, okay. Thank you so much that you guys are watching from Manchester. Blessings, blessings. Um, and then I put it also on the on this page. Yes. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. We are really blessed tonight. I'm really excited for tonight. We have a wonderful guest with us today in this eighth episode of the leadership. So we already have eight people who came in and who are, just sharing with us the experiences and everything. So because I really believe in a strong leadership, in effective leadership, in transformational leadership, the time to come. Even in the midst of the crisis, I believe that we can empower a lot of people to really believe in that. And God inspired us to do this series on leadership, on transformational leadership in this season, So I believe that God has a purpose for that, and God wants to touch so many in different countries and in different areas also. So today we are talking on the topic of the pastor's wife. So I have with me all the way from Ukraine, all the way from Ukraine. So that's a wonderful pastor, Pastor Bose Adelaja, if I say it correctly. So, and I'm gonna give her just a word just to introduce herself, like I do with all my guests. I just want them to introduce themselves. They can do it better than I can do. Just to introduce herself shortly, and then we can just start. I have some questions, but we all want to benefit from her experience, from the knowledge that she has, and I believe that she can empower so many also pastor's wife, but also the young pastor's wife, and a lot of pastors, prophets, apostles who came on now. They have also their wives, and some of them are really young, and some of them ask a lot of questions. And today we have the pastor with us with a lot of experience, and I'm gonna just give her the word to introduce herself, and then we're gonna move on. Pastor Bosa.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody watching us from all over the world. And thank you, Nadine, for this unique opportunity. Thank you for the wonderful work you are doing. As it's been said and mentioned, my name is Bose Adelaja. I live in Ukraine. And I help people to become a better version of themselves. So the question of leadership is very important. I grew up in Africa, and when I was growing up, leadership was not in the show. Um,
Mm-hmm.
until I became a teenager, nobody really inspired me to become a leader. I was just a follower. I was just, doing what people tells me to do, but I wasn't
Mhm,
inspired to think. I wasn't inspired to to work on the seed of greatness, on the seed of
mhm,
leadership that is in me. So
mhm,
having a breakthrough from that ignorance, I
mhm.
now devote my life to helping people to see the potential inside them, because the
Wow.
best resources that anybody could have is inside the person.
Oh,
You are
wow.
your best mentor,
Wonderful.
you are your best teacher, you are your best leader. If you work on
Mhm,
yourself, and if you believe, and if you crop out the
mhm.
best version that is in you, and the best version is always improving. And
Oh, wow.
leadership, and women's leadership is very, very important. I mean, things has
Mhm,
improved over the years, but for centuries, I mean, leaders,
mhm,
women were outside the leadership scene. They weren't
mhm,
seen as people, not to talk
mhm,
as being seen as leaders. So
mhm.
thank God that things have improved, but we still have a long way to go, because when you talk
Yeah.
to women, and when you talk
Mhm,
to Christian women, you find out that they are in fear, they are intimidated, they don't believe in themselves, and this is causing a lot of social and spiritual problem. Everybody
mhm.
has a better version of himself. Everybody has a
Yeah.
best version of himself, and women in
Mhm,
leadership have the responsibility to help other people to become a better version of themselves.
Wow, wow, wow. And I think, I think along the way, you're gonna share with us how you, like you said, you discover how to become that leader and that leadership was in you. But first of all, I really want to ask you, because I think that you mentioned that already about women's leadership. And my first question to you was, can we say that can a woman be in leadership, and can a pastor's wife be in leadership?
I would say this: both men and women, both the male and the female, were created by God. They were
Mm-hmm.
created in the image and in the likeness of God. And both
Amen.
male and female, they call God, they worship God.
Mm-hmm.
And with male and female, they have more things in common than differences. You know,
Mm-hmm.
women, they have brain, they have eyes, they have nose, I mean, they have
Mm-hmm.
blood. So
Mm-hmm.
if men could become leaders, also
Mm-hmm.
women could become leaders. Yeah, there will be some peculiarity. There's a difference
Mm-hmm.
between
Mm-hmm.
male leadership and female
Mm-hmm.
leadership. But
Mm-hmm.
it's so clear that women can become leaders because they are leaders.
Yes.
Often they are unknown leaders,
Mm-hmm.
unrecognized leaders,
Mm-hmm.
uncelebrated leaders. So
Mm-hmm.
it's now for us to recognize them, to celebrate them, and that will inspire them to bring out more of their leadership, talents, ability, giftings, which will bless the whole world. Women for decades, for centuries, they've always been blessing the world. So this is a time to
Yeah.
bless in a new and a unique way.
Yes,
So
that's so true. And I think that I mean, by you just saying that, I believe that you are blessing already a lot. Those who are watching, those who watch after, but you are already helping a lot by saying that, yes, a woman, just like a male, a female, can be also a leader. And that's so wonderful. But of course, we have a long way to go. Because the women have been, for a long time unseen, unheard, at the background. But we kind of started to see some of the changes, but we still have a lot of work to go. But first of all is to recognize that, yes, a woman can be a leader. And that's what you are saying tonight.
she is a leader. She is a leader.
Wow.
She just needs
Wow.
the awareness of who
Mhm.
she already is.
She just need awareness of who she already is. And how can we, for all the women in not only the pastor's wife, but how can we create that awareness for the
Okay.
woman to discover?
Okay, first we have to show it by personal examples. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we that are informed, when we take leadership responsibilities, when we
Mm-hmm.
let our voice to be heard, when we
Mm-hmm.
overcome our fear and timidity, and they look at us and they say, "Oh, she's just a woman like me. She's
Mm-hmm.
maybe she's also a Caucasian like me, or she's also a doctor like myself, and she's
Mm-hmm.
doing this." So personal example. Second is when we talk about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when we say you already have these things, you just have to put things together. So
Mm-hmm.
by practicality, by showing personal examples, you know, by aiming at becoming one of the top executives, you know, one of the top women in our generation, and then secondly by teaching about it. And you
Oh
know,
wow. Yes.
teaching also means helping.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
teach, you have the theory and you have the practical. So by
Mm-hmm.
teaching and in your teachings asking people practical questions, you know, on
Mm-hmm.
how they become leadership. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, like surveying themselves, what are they doing now, what are the
Mm-hmm.
leadership roles they are taking now, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
they are leaders but they don't just see themselves as leaders. Then when we
Mm-hmm.
help them to have dreams. I mean,
Oh wow.
you want to
Yes.
be, you know, when they start dreaming and when we encourage them and sometimes help them, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
realize their dreams, create a platform where they could realize their dreams, things like this, we help
Mm-hmm.
more women to become leaders.
Wow, wow. And I love that. Before we jump into the other subject of, I mean, the pastor's wife, I just want to stay a little bit on that part, on that topic to ask you about, because you were saying about we need to do this for them, or we need to do, but what do you mean by we? Is that the pastors? Is that the men? Is that the fathers? Is that who is the one who can help women discover themselves, discover who they are?
Whoever is enlightened, whoever
Mm-hmm.
is enlightened, it could be a fellow woman, it could be an
Mm-hmm.
older woman, it could be a younger woman, it could be a
Mm-hmm.
man, it could be a school teacher, professor, it could be
Mm-hmm.
the father, it could be the mother, anybody
Mm-hmm.
that is enlightened. You see,
Mm-hmm.
successful people, they always give out, to their community. They have
Yeah.
become successful, so they try to raise more successful people. So any
Mm-hmm.
leader that is successful, that is informed, that sees the benefit of becoming a leader, the benefit
Mm-hmm.
of living fear, of living insecurity, to
Mm-hmm.
start taking responsibility for other person, that person will want to give out, to give out to
Yes.
people, because that person will feel a kind of pain when he
Mm-hmm.
sees people that can do a lot, but due to fear, due to ignorance, they are
Mm-hmm.
living below their level. So,
Yes.
but anybody that is informed, anybody that is
Mm-hmm.
enlightened, it cuts between gender, between race, between
Mm-hmm.
education. Anybody that is informed has that responsibility
Has
to
that responsibility.
enlighten other people.
Yes, earlier, Pastor, you said about growing up. When you were growing up, you didn't have that I don't know. Maybe you can say it correctly if I'm wrong. But growing up, maybe some other ladies growing up, they didn't also have some people around them to really push out this leadership or this leader in out of them. Do you think that it should start from the home, from the education, from where does it has to start?
Now, I think it should start from the womb. You see, I can recall my mom never spoke to me about becoming a leader. My dad
Mm-hmm.
never spoke to me about becoming a leader.
Mm-hmm.
They did their best. They did what they knew. They fed me. Of course, they tried to
Mm-hmm.
protect me. They,
Mm-hmm.
they paid for my education. And, later, they asked me, who do I want to become? They sent me
Mm-hmm.
to university. But,
Yeah.
going to school, being fed, and that doesn't make you a leader automatically. You have to be
Yeah,
aware.
that's true.
You have to be informed. And
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the church. We're encouraged to serve. I was in the
Okay.
choir, but nobody told me about leadership. I mean, when
Mm-hmm.
there is a need to fill a space, you will always
Mm-hmm.
find people to fill a space. But
Mm-hmm.
talking about leadership, talking about this is one of your calling in life. There is
Mm-hmm.
something unique about you. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody
Mm-hmm.
can sing the way you sing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can say the way you say it, and it doesn't matter if ten of thousands of people are already doing it. You
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the way you do yours is different, because that will differentiate you from other people. And apart
Yeah.
from that, there's something that you will definitely do better than other people. So
Yes.
doing stuff and being busy is different from being
Mm-hmm.
leaders. There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people in leadership positions that they are not really leaders, and that they're not really duly aware of
Mm-hmm.
the fullness of the position they occupy. They are
Oh
just doing
wow.
things. Yeah, they are just
Yeah.
doing things, but they are not changing lives, and they are not raising leaders. Leadership is about changing lives. If you are
Oh
not changing
wow. Oh yes.
lives, then you are not a leader. I mean, you are
Yeah.
just doing stuffs.
Leadership is about changing lives. I love that one. Yes. Leadership is about changing lives. And it can start, or it should start from the womb, like you say.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Great, great, Pastor Boss. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. of course, the topic of today that a lot of people have seen, the pastor's wife, and I have all of my the group of pastor's wife in Manchester watching, of course, because there are a lot of questions. And the first that I want to ask you about the pastor's wife is, what is the role of a pastor's wife? What is a role? Why do I ask that? Because sometimes a pastor's wife just, they get married to a pastor or a prophet or an apostle or a doctor, and then they came to that position of a wife of the fivefold ministry, and they kind of sometimes get lost in, okay, what do I have to do now? What is my role? What is my position? How? What is that?
Okay. The role of the pastor's wife should be discussed by the pastor's wife and the husband, because
Okay.
yes, because there are a lot of things the pastor's wife can do in the church.
Mm-hmm.
There is a very high expectation of the pastor's wife, very high
Yes.
expectation of the
Yeah.
pastor's wife. And I mean that has its place, because
Mm-hmm.
being a pastor's wife comes with a lot of opportunities, comes with a lot of benefits, and
Mm-hmm.
people in high position, they have benefits, but they also have we have a high expectation from them, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
the pastor's wife could have as many roles as she wants to have, because the ministry is wide. There's always a
mhm,
lot of things to do. Yeah,
mhm,
so the role of a pastor's wife first must be discussed between the pastor's wife and the wife. But I mean, if to talk in generality, of course, the main role of a pastor's wife is to support. I mean, I wanted to say to support her husband, but also I think I will use pastor's spouse. Yeah, I know that
okay.
I know that we have more wives than husbands.
Mhm.
Yeah, but also we have husbands. Now we have women who are the pastor.
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
that is the minority. Yeah, but sometimes I will use that, but I just want to clarify that when we say
Mhm,
pastor's wife, we just mean the spouse of
mhm,
a pastor, the spouse of a clergy,
mhm,
things like that. So the main role of a pastor's wife is to support the husband. Another
mhm,
role of the pastor's wife is to be a role model,
mhm,
first to the women in the church, but
mhm,
then also to every member in the church, because now there is neither male or female. We can influence anybody, because the Spirit of the
mhm,
Lord is in us. The Spirit of the Lord
mhm,
that is in a woman is not different from the Spirit of the Lord that is in a male. It's the same
mhm,
Spirit that is using both of them. Yeah, so
mhm.
be supportive of the husband. She has a great power, and the Bible says two is better than one.
The
So
one. Yes.
she must learn to be supportive of the husband. That is
Mhm,
why they must have communication. There should be dialogue. Things must be settled at home. That is very
mhm,
important, so that there will not be
mhm,
like usurping of power, competition. They
mhm.
try to work as one. They should try to settle a lot of things at home. And secondly, is to be, a role model. Of course, the pastor's wife is supposed to be a good member of the church. She's supposed to be
A good member of the church.
absolutely,
Yes.
yeah. She's supposed to be one of the best members of the church, because
Mhm,
if she's a supporter of the pastor, and
mhm,
the well-being of the church is very important to the pastor. So,
mhm,
and there are a lot of areas where she could serve in the church. So she has a lot of opportunities. She could serve in the children ministry. She could serve in the choir. She could serve in housekeeping. She could serve in the social outreaches of the church. I mean, she could serve in the women's ministry. I mean, the sky is our limit.
But this role must be like from, settled, or her position should be settled by discussing or communicating first with her husband, and then she can take, because like you were saying, it is a lot. She can like do a lot of things, and it brings also a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, I mean, and she doesn't need to be everything. I mean,
Okay.
she cannot please
Mm-hmm.
everybody. So normally,
Mm-hmm.
a good husband should talk with the wife and say, what would you like to do? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what would you
Mm-hmm.
like to do? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and a good husband would try to understanding the stress that could
Mm-hmm.
come because
Mm-hmm.
pastoral ministry, I mean, is full of stress. So a pastor's
Mm-hmm.
wife also will experience some stress. So
Yeah.
normally, a good husband, a loving husband, must have this communication with the wife, give the wife a kind of freedom and what would you like to do? There are so many things that you could do in the church, but I don't want you to be overburdened. I don't want you
Mm-hmm.
to feel you are obliged to be
Mm-hmm.
everything. So, what is in your heart? What would you like to do? You know, they agree on that, and he or she protects her because
Mm-hmm.
there are different people in the church, different people in
Mm-hmm.
the church.
Yes.
People like
Yes.
pastor's wife, some people will hate the pastor's wife, and people say, why is she not doing that? Why is she not jumping? Why is she not running around? But then the husband
Yes.
must know.
But most of the time I've been seeing, and all these years I've been really around pastor's wife, and to see all the critics and hear all the critics and hear those are big challenges that a pastor's wife have actually.
Mhm, mhm.
And how can a pastor's wife deal with all these kind of challenges?
Um, you see, under normal circumstances, of course, we have it a little bit different in charismatic movements, but
Mm-hmm.
this is one thing I love about the older Christian movements. You know, like the established churches, the Catholic churches, the Orthodox, the Pentecostal, Baptist, all those. They pay
Mm-hmm.
very good attention to preparing people for pastoral ministry. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
hear about seminaries, 3 years, to study in the seminary, sometimes 2 years, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
4 years. So they
Mm-hmm.
have enough time, to do the theology, and they have enough time to do the psychology, and they have
Mm-hmm.
enough time to prepare the pastors for the challenges of the ministry. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
maybe in some seminaries they're able to do some practicals, right?
Mhm, mhm,
But in the charismatic movement, we just feel that God is calling this person, or
mhm,
this person feels God is calling him, and
mhm,
he thinks he's ready, and they
mhm,
just send him,
mhm,
or they just have a fast Bible school or something like that. So
mhm,
they have the fire, they have the zeal, people must be saved. So it
mhm,
goes unprepared,
mhm.
unprepared for the real life, for the real challenge that is out there. So I
Yes.
personally believe that only matured people should be sent out as pastors, and pastors' wives as well must be prepared for the position. So
Wow. Wow.
as you are preparing the pastor, you must also prepare the wife if he's already or she is already married at that time.
Mhm,
If
mhm,
he's single, then when he's considering marriage, special attention and
mhm,
special mentorship and time
mhm,
should be given to the lady, to prepare for the position. They should let her
mhm.
know what she will encounter,
Wow.
because
Wow.
she must be prepared psychologically,
Oh wow. Pastor
she
Bose, I really love that what you're saying, because there are a lot of young people right now, some of them being prepared for the ministry, some of them not, but who are not married yet, but they want to get married, to those ladies or to those young ladies. And what you're saying is so important to give it to them. Like, not only the young pastor or the pastor should be preparing, or should be prepared for the ministry, but also the pastor's wife should be prepared psychologically and should be told like what she can expect in the future,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Because mainly we were paying attention to the pastors
Mm-hmm.
because we thought the wives would be obedient, the wives will follow their husband, the wife will
Mm-hmm.
just do what their husband. But wives are human beings. They have
Yeah.
brains, they have their
Come
lives,
on.
have their desires. and this have
Mhm.
led to a lot of problems, in the ministry. And
Mhm.
talking about being prepared psychologically, both the pastors, both and the pastors' wives, but we know that men, they are more logical, but
Mhm.
female, they are more like they tie their emotions to things.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
for most of the men, going through criticism is easy. They just shake it
Mhm.
off themselves. They don't even remember the second day. But for
Mhm.
the woman, she remembers. She that's how God creates her. So she
Mhm.
need. I mean, that part needs to be tackled. She has to understand the human nature. She has to
Mhm.
understand that the people criticizing her, they are, I mean, they are also going through their own thing.
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
person doesn't just have one face. Is it depends on how she's feeling.
Mhm.
The way a lady will react when
Mhm.
she's having a period, or when she's about to have a period, will be different from how she
Mhm.
relates in other cases. The way a
Mhm.
person will relate when she's undergoing a trauma, or when she's having some difficulties, will be different. So we have
Mhm.
to understand that a human has different phases of life,
Mhm.
and the way
Mhm.
they react also depends on what they are going through. So
Mhm.
just saying this person is bad or this person is good, I don't want to talk to this person. So we need the understanding of the human nature. We need to
Wow.
understand we ourselves are human. We are not
Mhm.
always performing well.
Mhm.
If everybody will examine him, his or herself, you will find out that in some situations you did worse than you could have
Mhm.
done.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
later you say, oh, why did I say that? Why did
Why did I
I
do
I know better
that? Mhm.
than that, but you just don't
Mhm.
understand, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes we are so powerless. We submit, we get subjected to our emotions, to what somebody said unconsciously.
Mhm.
Unconsciously. So
Mhm.
we have that weakness. The people we are dealing with, they have that weakness. So
Mhm.
if somebody is not prepared psychologically, if somebody hasn't seen enough experience of the human nature, of the weakness of
Mhm.
the human nature, a pastor's wife will get easily frustrated by people.
Frustrated.
Yes,
Yes.
by some people's attitude towards her, or towards her
Yeah.
husband, or towards her children.
Yes, towards our husband also. Wow, this of course toward and how should there's just a question coming in my head like she can be get really frustrated and what kind of support that a pastor's wife should be expecting from the pastor, from a husband.
Like I said, I think the first support is if the husband gives her freedom to be herself. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing worse than not being able to be yourself.
To be
You know,
yourself.
yeah,
Wow.
was than being forced, to act, to play a
Yes.
role, to please
Mm-hmm.
everybody. We function best when we can be ourselves, when we are
Mm-hmm.
free, when our mind is free, when our spirit is free. So,
Mm-hmm.
the number one support that a pastor spouse, the pastor should give the wife is freedom to be herself. Of course, in the biblical frame, that is very
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Number
Mm-hmm.
two, the way she talks about her, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she, I mean, sorry, the way now we're taking pastors to be man, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the way it talks about her, it should learn. The Bible says, love your wife,
Yeah.
husband, love your wife. That applies to
Mm-hmm.
pastors as well. So the
Mm-hmm.
so the way it talks about the wife is very important in every meeting, secret meeting, open meeting is
Yeah.
very important. Yeah, because he must pass the test of honoring his wife. One-
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the weaker vessel. So
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me personally. When
Mm-hmm.
I got married to my husband, and he always speaks highly of me. At
Mm-hmm.
home, in the different meetings,
Mm-hmm.
outside in the
Mm-hmm.
church. He showed his love and he showed his respect. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
it's very important for a husband understanding the stress that a pastor
Yes.
could be going through. So it's very
Yeah.
important to show that public support.
Public
Public,
support.
yeah,
Mm.
that is very important. Number three, it should condemn, anybody in the church that tries to unfairly, you know, humiliate the wife or
Mm-hmm.
unfairly compete with the wife.
And the wife.
Yeah,
Wow.
that is
Yeah.
fighting for the wife,
Mm-hmm.
fighting for the
Mm-hmm.
wife. I won't allow you to talk about my wife like that. I
Yeah.
am, my wife and I, we are the same, we are one
Mm-hmm.
body, and I won't allow you. So things like that is very, very important. So
Very
the
important. I think that it gives also the respect to the wife, to the
Yeah,
spouse. Yeah.
yeah. And the wife
Mm.
will know that she has a place to lean on. She can
Yeah.
always lean on the husband because
Mm-hmm.
another dejecting thing is for you not to have understanding with your husband. You
Mm-hmm.
are not having understanding in the church, and then to
Mm-hmm.
go home and not to have peace and not to have understanding. I mean, that's a mental case.
Yes, that's so important because it gets to the question that some of the young lady already asked me, like how do we prevent to really get bitter, because they just like we've seen so many pastors wife or pastor spouses being so bitter, and you just see that in their face, and when you see them you go like, and some of the young ladies would tell me when you see them you go like, I don't think I don't want to get married to a pastor ever. And they go like, how can you do that not to be bitter, and not to become bitter, because all of the challenges, all of, how do you prevent to become bitter?
There are different ways, but the first and the most important way is knowing God. You know, knowing,
Right.
one of
Mm.
the fruit of the spirit, is meekness, long
Mm-hmm.
suffering, not
Mm-hmm.
being not being bitter. So, but that
Mm-hmm.
that cannot be imparted. You don't get it by people praying for you. You don't
Mm-hmm.
you don't really get it by people preaching about it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you hear it, uh, but for you to really get it, you need to work on yourself. You need to have
Wow.
a relationship with God. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it must become one of those sufferings for Christ. And
Yes.
the Bible says, "Let all bitterness, be taken away from you." So that's
Mm-hmm.
already your personal walk with God.
Your personal walk with God. I love that
Yeah,
that you point that as first, because as pastor's wife, you are first of all a child of God. You have
absolutely.
to have the relationship with God.
Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
that is your inner man, your spirit. That is the
Mm-hmm.
Christian work.
Mm-hmm.
Of not
Mm-hmm.
allowing bitterness. Forgiveness. The sun should not set on your anger and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That is number one. Number two is number two is avoiding, you know, avoiding people,
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible. Avoiding toxic people is very
Toxic
important.
people. Mm-hmm.
It's very important, especially when you could, whenever
Mm-hmm.
you are able to do it. The Bible says we should run from all appearance of evil. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know
Mm-hmm.
this meeting or things like that, if you know it won't do you well, it's better to avoid it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you can avoid it, so that is um, decrease the number of negativities that can come to your life. That is another way of avoiding to be bitter. And the third thing I will mention is, how will I say, understanding that the people that are trying to cause you bitterness, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are not doing that out of a good life. Uh, so they are bitter themselves. So
Wow. Yes.
yeah, actually, you need to have mercy on them because
Mhm.
they are
Mhm.
suffering more than you.
Mhm.
They are
Mhm.
suffering more than
Come
you.
on. Yeah.
It's because their system is full of bitterness. It's
Come
because
on.
they're not happy. It's
Mm.
because they are
Mm.
bleeding in one way or the other. So that's
Mhm.
what they could give,
Mhm.
that's what they had. That's their understanding of life. So it's a bad life, it's a bitter life. So when you understand that, you won't even get bitter. You will pray for the person, for God to deliver the person, because you can just imagine the
Mhm.
horrible life that person could be having. Somebody that is causing pain, somebody that is always, unsatiable, unsatisfiable. I mean, it's not a
Mhm.
good life. So you will even have mercy on that person. So you won't have time to be
Mhm.
bitter. That might also be connected to your personal relationship with God, but it's a little bit different. Yeah, this is more about understanding people, the science of people, because happy people, they make other people happy. Bitter
Yes.
people, they make other people bitter. You can't give
Yeah.
what you have. So when you see that horrible state of people, you won't have time even to get bitter.
Mhm. Mhm.
You will just thank God that you know better. You will just thank God that you are not the person making
Mhm.
other people bitter, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you'll be grateful, and that will help you to repel, to reject, and that bitterness, although it was thrown at you, but it will
Mhm.
not stay with you. It will not.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's so wonderful. And just hearing you, I'm just like, then you just have to be a child of God. You have to have a good relationship with God as a pastor spouse, because you have to have that big heart for you to be able also to think like, okay, this person is throwing this bitterness on me or is doing this to me, but actually maybe they are the one who are suffering from
Yeah.
some of the things, and I need to pray for them. I think it's a very big exercise.
But that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Relationship with God, understanding people, because Jesus understood us. The Bible says He loved us first.
Mm,
Some
mm-hmm,
people
mm-hmm,
say some people say He loved us when we were unlovable.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So,
true.
and that is what Christ does in you. If you have Christ as your model, if you study Jesus's life, if you
Mm-hmm.
study suffering, then he was able to die for us because he had that understanding.
Wow,
And
wow.
he knew that if he gets over our unlovable state and still die
Mm,
for us, he knew that that was the only way to help us. Because
yeah.
when people are bitter to you and you refuse to be bitter to them, when
Mm-hmm,
you again stick to the Bible, to the biblical principle, do
mm-hmm.
not repay evil for evil.
For evil, right?
That
Correct.
that requires a change of heart, a change of paradigm, right? But
Yeah.
that's the only way to curb, to reduce
Mm-hmm,
evil, and that's the only
mm-hmm.
way to win over that person. You know,
Yes.
I've won over a lot of people just by
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to their tantrums, not paying
Mm-hmm.
attention to what they're doing, because I know that some a person that is happy will always share happiness, but a person
Yes.
that is
Mm-hmm.
dejected inside himself,
Mm-hmm.
he had nothing else. So when you are able to oversee that, and
Mm-hmm.
you continue to be good to them, because you cannot be otherwise if you know Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
after sometimes it's like killing that evil in them.
Wow.
Jesus said, Satan is coming, but he finds nothing in me. So
Nothing in me.
yeah, that's how we destroy the works of the enemy.
Mm. Yeah.
After some times, they just find that no, you are not their client. That it doesn't.
Wow.
And that way you
Wow.
are that way you are able to win over some people. Not all people. There are
Not
tough people.
all people.
There are difficult situations. There are mental.
Wow.
In the
Mm-hmm.
church we have a lot of people with mental situations. They don't know it,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a lot of cases like that.
As a pastor's spouse, you deal with a lot of people, a lot of different people, and sometimes it can be challenging, and sometimes they can throw bitterness or hatred or a lot of other things towards you. But as you have listened to Pastor Bose who said, and I'm talking to all my young ladies out there, you who are married to the pastor, to the prophet, to the apostle, and I've heard your questions for many, many years, and I can tell you, this is, you have to first of all have the relationship with God. Like Pastor Moses say, you have to, because from all those things that you have to pray for the people, you have to be a child of God yourself first, because otherwise it's going to be very hard for you to forgive, to avoid to be bitter, to avoid all this evil to come into you. And I think this is really, really, really important. And people are different in the church, like Pastor Moses say, and there are going to be always different people coming in the church. You cannot do nothing about that. So that's the way it is. Right? Okay. Pastor Bose, you are a pastor yourself. You are within the fivefold ministry yourself as the pastor's spouse, next to Pastor Sunday Adelaja. So you have been, doing a tremendous work all of the world, and we all are like, following you, watching you, and that's, you have been a great example all of these years, and as a pastor and as a pastor's wife also. But is that something like a common thing that a pastor's spouse should also be in the ministry, or not?
I won't say it's a must. I won't say
Mm-hmm.
it's a must. Everybody must find himself. I never planned to become a pastor. Yes, I was a pastor's wife before I became a pastor. So
Okay.
I won't say it's a must. I know
Mm-hmm.
other pastors' wives who are not pastors. They are
Mm-hmm.
professional. Some are
Mm-hmm.
staying at home with their children. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a must. But I think it's a must for every Christian to have a ministry,
Mm-hmm.
both in the
Yeah.
church and outside the church. So
Oh wow.
if every Christian should have a ministry, that means a pastor's wife also should have a ministry, both in the
Mm-hmm.
church and outside the church.
Both in the church and outside the church. Wow.
But often, pastors' wives they become pastor. Why? Because um, they go through informal training by
Mm-hmm.
living with their husbands.
Yes.
Living with their husband, staying with their husband, seeing what the husband is doing, helping, the husband
Mm-hmm.
with some things. So after
Mm-hmm.
so many years, it's like they get an informal training of
Mm-hmm.
how to pastor. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why also we have a high cases of pastors' wives becoming pastors.
Becoming pastors.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that something that in a lot of ministry pastors should just consider, for like giving this informal formation, or whatever you can call it, to their wife to become pastors?
I don't think a pastor should force it on the wife, because
Okay, thank
ministry,
you.
yeah, ministry should be voluntarily, it should be
Mm-hmm.
voluntary. I don't think a pastor should force it,
Mm-hmm.
on the wife. But it happens like that because you see, uh, when a relationship is good, you find out that your best friend is your husband or your best friend
Mm-hmm.
is your wife, and
Mm-hmm.
so you feel more comfortable trusting the person, because
Mm-hmm.
also in the church there are questions of trust, people trying to
Yes.
take us, a lot of things happen in the church.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just find out that your best friend is your husband, your best friend is
Mm-hmm.
your wife. So
Yeah.
it naturally it just grow to that. And if
Mm-hmm.
if the wife feels it's okay, I mean she would like to serve the Lord in that capacity, then it's okay. But I mean, pastors' wives should be through with themselves. I mean, if they
Mm-hmm.
feel it's not their own, to
Mm-hmm.
serve in that capacity, they shouldn't force anything on themselves.
I think that you are pointing something very good because I don't know if all of them are really convinced to take that position, but because what you're saying, because of the trust issue within the church, and the only person that you can really fully trust is your wife, and when you are not there, you really believe that your wife is the person to be there, and I don't know if all of them really agree to take that position. And you are saying that they have to be true to themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
because
is that a must, like, you are the help
yeah.
of your husband? You are your husband's
No,
help.
you are the help in the family. I mean,
Mhm.
you are the help in the family, yeah, not in the church. Not like
Wow.
the help in the family is different, like from the help in the church.
Wow.
Because
Hmm.
the church is another kind of family. There are
Hmm.
other people there.
Hmm.
Because if a pastor's wife takes up these challenges, not prepared, not ready, not
Hmm.
wanting to do it, it will create an extra stress
Yes.
for her, and she won't be able to enjoy it. I became a pastor when I was matured enough to become
Hmm.
one,
Hmm.
and I had my voice, and I mean, nobody could like humiliate me. I've grown up, and I
Hmm.
know what I'm doing.
Hmm.
I respect myself. People
Hmm.
respect me. I
Hmm.
have so I became a pastor then when I felt like becoming a pastor. Nobody pushed me to become
Hmm.
a pastor.
Hmm. Okay, okay. So please, for all the young ladies out there listening to us, you have one of the things that I love what Pastor Bose said, you have to be true to yourself. And that will prevent a lot of stress, because if you feel pressure because so and so got married and they both are pastors in their church, and you feel like you have to become one, it is very dangerous, because you are going into something that you are not prepared for, and maybe you are not even ready for, and maybe you are not even called for, you're not qualified for, and you don't even want it, and that can only cause you to have a lot of stress. So maybe you should just have a good communication, good discussion with your husband, and to find out what you can do as the pastor's wife in the church. Because, like Pastor also said, there are a lot of things that you can do in the church, a lot of things. But a lot of people, choose to have their wife in the fivefold ministry, also for trust issue that can be understandable. But don't feel the pressure, because otherwise you will just lose yourself, and that'll be very, very dangerous. Even for the husband, for both, for the ministry,
Yeah.
right? Yes. So I think one of the question that can follow that discussion is about you being a pastor, your husband being a pastor. How can a woman, what kind of attitude that a woman should have for her to prevent that her husband will feel intimidated, or will feel like there is a competition between them?
Well, in my case, I have a very strong willed husband, a very
Mhm. Oh yes, he is.
I mean, a very established person. But
Hmm.
still, I learned when I was a pastor's wife. I'm still a pastor's wife, but when I was only a pastor's wife,
Hmm.
I learned to be this, the second person.
Hmm.
There cannot be two captains in a boat.
Hmm.
Cannot be.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
So being a pastor's wife helped me, to learn to be the second person, to learn to
Mhm.
trust God, to learn to support your husband. Because there were cases when my husband would make some decisions, and I was so sure in my brain, in my intelligence, that it will not work. And
Mhm.
then it worked. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
so I found to know that, God, God is with his servants. God
Mhm.
deals with his servants in different ways. I got to learn that I don't know everything. I must learn to trust God, and I must learn to
Mhm.
be to be the second person, to be
To
the
be the
second
second person, you have to learn to be the second person because they cannot be two captain in one boat.
person. Obey. Yeah, yeah,
And
and
it seems like for us from outside, what we see, we follow you, and then we see like Pastor Sunday has completely another type of personality, and you have completely another type of personality, and you guys are still doing such a tremendous work. And how does that work together?
yeah, so learning, and there are a lot of passages in the Bible, like thinking about other person better than yourselves, um, respecting other people. Wives are supposed to respect their husbands, and just if you know that there cannot be two leaders in the house,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who you are, uh, I'm better at some things than my husband. My husband is better at something, but there can, if you want to live long as a family, as a church, and if you want to
Mm-hmm.
reduce the stress, because our
Mm-hmm.
profession, our ministry is a high tense, stressful ministry.
Yes,
So
that's true.
we will be fools to turn our home into another battleground, right? But
Mhm,
grown up
mhm,
people, I mean, we've been living together for quite a number of years. So I mean, there cannot be two captains. So you
mhm,
know your role. He knows his role. You don't tamper with his business. You give suggestion, you give advice, but you don't press him.
mhm,
That's it.
mhm,
He is the pastor. He does what he thinks God wants him to
mhm.
do, and God is still working with all of us. So that is it. If you learn to be the second person, there won't be competition. So how did it work for me? When I'm with my husband, either in any ministry, is the leader. I'm just like any other person. So
Mhm,
I try to be quiet. But when he's not there, when
mhm,
it's not his full territory, um, I
mhm,
I am in my husband's ministry. Yeah, I am
mhm,
under his ministry, but I have my own freedom. When he's
mhm,
not there. We have
mhm,
some meetings when he's the speaker, he's the main person. I just sit, thank God, on the front row, and I'm just like
mhm,
every other person. I'm just like
mhm.
every member, and I like that. I like the switch. I like the fact that
Yeah,
I'm not always a pastor. Sometimes I'm
yeah,
just, I'm just.
yeah.
It gives me the balance,
Mhm,
because as
mhm.
human being, we get used to roles. If you're always a
That's
pastor,
true. That's true.
to it, and but this contrast really helps. So sometimes I'm
Mhm,
just a member of the church. I'm like an assistant. I'm not the main person. Yeah, but
mhm,
sometimes I have meetings that I'm like the first person there. So I'm free to do my to preach. I'm free to be myself, but always respectful to my husband, because I'm in the ministry today thanks to him.
mhm,
I never dreamed of being in the ministry. It wasn't something I wanted to do. Yeah, but thanks to
mhm,
him, I fell in love with God in this way, and it has really improved my life, and I'm able to bless more people in this position than in other professions I was thinking of embarking on. So just
yeah.
understanding, I mean, being grown ups, having lines, knowing that there cannot be two captains at the same time. So
Mhm.
learning to be supportive, to respect him, it's just like self control.
Yes. Wow.
Self control.
Self-control.
Self control.
Mm.
When is the big man? When is the man? You support him. When your time comes, you do whatever you want to do.
Mhm. Oh
It's like
wow.
when, it's like when he's at home, he has his way. When he's not at home, you are the princess and you do whatever you want to do.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, wow, wow. But it works perfectly for you, and it is amazing to see the tremendous work that you guys are doing. But still, one of the question I have to ask you, because you are talking about being the second person, and I think that when a woman knows her position and the man know his position, I think that it should just be okay. The two should just work together. But there are so many situations that the woman can just try to know her position or to know her position, and but still make the man insecure or be intimidated by her in her position. What can this type of woman do just to, I mean, to help so that it can just flow together?
I didn't get that. Can you say it again?
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. There are some women also in ministry, and the husband is in the ministry, and it doesn't really work because the husband feel intimidated by the ministry of the woman, by
Okay.
the ministry of his wife, I can say. Okay, and what can this type of woman do just to help also her husband not to feel intimidated, not to feel insecure around her? Is there something that she can do?
I think there are some things she can do, but
Mm-hmm.
that won't be the major things. Of course, it's good. Like I will be repeating myself, respecting her husband. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, everywhere, even when she's having her own ministry, mentioning
Mm-hmm.
that she's a married woman and she's
Mm-hmm.
thankful for her husband releasing her to be
Mm-hmm.
able to minister. Just doing that. I mean, she has to talk to the husband to see if there are good reasons for him
Mm-hmm.
to feel like this, or it's just the man ego, you know. It can be
Mm-hmm.
true. So if there are reasons, if he feels neglected, if there's no
Mm-hmm.
food, the house is not clean, and then she's jumping on the stage doing deliverance, of course, those are things that must be addressed. She might need to
Mm-hmm.
cut down ministry time
Mm-hmm.
to make sure there
Mm-hmm.
is order at home, to make time that they have time when they talk. When you make a man happy, he will do anything for you. When he's
Yes.
satisfied, he will do everything for you. But there are
Mm-hmm.
just some men, due to their mentality, that
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you do for them. They just think you shouldn't be more famous than them. You shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
Then I mean, there's nothing you
What is
can.
what can this type of woman, but also not only in ministry, but also in business, because I just heard I have to intervene like in 2 weeks somewhere, and I just heard something that a wife had earned a lot of money. She got promoted at work, but do not want to tell her husband about that, and she requires prayers because she's afraid of the husband becoming really intimidated by her position now. And I think in the ministry also, a lot of men can just become really intimidated by the ministry because they don't want you to be more famous. What can this type of woman do just to, do they have to adjust? Do they have to reduce some of the things that they do, or what is it exactly that they can do?
If she's doing what she's supposed to do at home,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if they have kids and the kids are under care, if the house is neat, if she has time that she spends with the husband, I mean, she doesn't need to reduce herself. She doesn't need to reduce
Mm-hmm.
herself, because husbands are not forever. You
Mm-hmm.
know, husbands are not forever, but God's calling on our
Mm-hmm.
lives are forever. Yeah, we
Mm-hmm.
need balance, but it doesn't worth it because of a man that is insecure,
Mm-hmm.
for you to sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
what God is doing with you. It doesn't worth
Mm-hmm.
it. So if he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't understand, that is his problem. I mean, that is his problem in the sense that he needs to change his
The
mind.
mindset. Mm-hmm.
That he needs to change his mindset. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing you can do. But a woman should learn to respect herself and the way she carries herself.
Mm-hmm.
And will also determine, sometimes men, they try you, they
Mm-hmm.
try to
Mm-hmm.
intimidate you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are that kind of people that succumb to intimidation, and then such immature men will have their way. But if you
Mm-hmm.
know who you are in Christ,
Mm-hmm.
if you are self-sufficient,
Mm-hmm.
That's another topic, that every woman should be self-sufficient. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you make your money, even if your husband is rich.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so make sure you develop yourself. So if you are self-sufficient, and if you respect yourselves,
Mm-hmm.
uh, men will also, your husbands and other men will also respect you. I mean,
Respect
we
you.
have to we have to tell men how far they can go with us.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, they will try to
Mm-hmm.
push you, but you have to tell them how far they can go with you.
Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
when they know who you are, and
Mm-hmm.
they will also have to adjust, because they are the one to adjust. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot you cannot stop breathing because
Mm-hmm.
somebody is
Yeah,
not on the
exactly.
level, because somebody doesn't
But that's
listen.
just very important what you're saying right now, and I think you repeat
I
it
mean,
quite a few times about knowing yourself, knowing who you are, and then setting some boundaries, and to
yeah,
also, tell the person so far, and God is your priority, and but I think all of that, with all the respect, with all, you as a woman also have to do your your task, or whatever you have to do, and then when you know that you are doing what you have to do in the eyes of God, then you know that God is your priority.
absolutely, because it's just foolishness, because
Hmm.
we all want our children to be greater than us. So
Hmm.
what's wrong if God's favor is coming upon your life through your
Hmm.
wife? I mean,
Hmm.
it's still an honor. Oh, that's the husband of the CEO. I mean,
Hmm.
you gain respect,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
if your wife is making more money, and
Hmm.
where will she spend the money? She will spend the money at home. Maybe she will
It's
buy.
home in the house. Yeah.
She will help you to bear some responsibilities that maybe you're not
Hmm.
bearing. So I mean,
Hmm.
you just have to turn on our brain. And
Hmm. But I think it's also the role. That's another topic. But I think it's also our role as women, how we also educate our young boys, our children.
our children.
Yes, for
But the world
them.
is changing. The world is changing. I don't think
Mm,
those kind of mentality, those kind of men who cannot cope with their wife sources, I think it's more um, Afro, it's more Eastern culture. It's more African Eastern culture. But the world is changing now.
the
Absolutely.
world is changing. The
So
world is
those
changing.
kind of mentality, I don't think they will survive for a longer time. The world is
Yes, the world is changing. By the world is changing, I come to my next question to you, Pastor Bose, is that can a woman then be the one who is the pastor, just the one who's called in ministry, and the husband is not called in the ministry? Is that possible?
I think we have a lot of cases like that. Yeah, we do. So it's not a question of is that possible. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I read in articles, and especially in this how will I say it, in Catholic churches, in
Mm-hmm.
Orthodox churches, because I live in an Orthodox country. They
Mm-hmm.
don't believe that women can become priests.
Mm-hmm.
You can do anything. You can sing, you can run, you can cook, you can anything, but you cannot become a priest. Yeah, because of change in emotion and weakness that comes once in a while in a woman's life. So they say she cannot. She's
Mm-hmm.
not supposed. But there are thousands of women pastors all over the world. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not a question of can she. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's a question of should she be, because
Wow.
we already have them existing. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just like somebody can say, can there be internet? Internet has been around for
Internet is already there.
already there. So we're
Yes.
already, female
Hmm.
pastors are already there. So
Hmm.
anybody having problem with that is already too late. It's a
Yes, because I'm asking this
a
question.
movement that cannot be stopped.
Wow, wow. This is
because
something that
because
can.
God is calling both male and female,
Hmm.
and in every
Hmm.
sphere, God is calling both male and female. So
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a movement I
But
cannot.
this is something. I mean, it is wonderful. The answers that you're giving it's just like, yes, it should just be like that, you know. And when I see also your face, and it's just like, of course. But there are so many cases still who would think that, you know, a woman, a pastor or woman in the fivefold ministry with a husband not being in the ministry, how can she then be submitted to him? You know, that's actually the.
But she submits to him at home, isn't it? You
Hmm.
know, I mean,
Wow,
you have
wow.
to say there is family, there is church. I mean,
Yes.
submits to him at home. She comes home and then she takes off her pastor's clothes. She cooks. She makes sure she organizes the house. She submits to him at
Yes.
home. There's no problem there. The husband
Mhm.
goes to his job and she goes to her job. Her job is the church. Maybe the husband is working in the company. So, and if the husband is a member of our church, then of course he now has to honor her as a pastor. You know,
Mhm.
sometimes we find it difficult honoring our wives. I mean, sorry, I'm not a man, right? But sometimes some men, they find it difficult honoring their wives, but they
Mhm.
honor other female outside.
Yes.
They,
Yes.
their supervisors at work, as their CEO. So, but you are supposed to even honor your wife more than
Mhm.
any other person
Mhm.
because she's doing a lot for you.
Mhm. Mhm. That's true. That's
The
true.
same
Wow.
should be for a woman, you know, the all things being equal, the man that you respect more than any other person should be your husband, should
Mhm.
be your, all
Mhm.
things being
Mhm.
equal when there's no other cases like that. So,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
I don't know, you know, sometimes we just get things confused.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
what you are refusing to give to your wife, you still go outside and honor other people. So, I mean, just think about it.
Yes. Yes. That's so true. That's
just
so
because
true.
just because of some beliefs, just because of some outdated upbringing. I mean, we're just turning the world, you know, upside down. I mean, senseless.
Mhm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's so true. That's so true. And being saying all that, Pastor Bose, there are so many. Like I said, a lot of somebody say there. I think it was my sister, my mom. She said, not just young ladies, all of the pastor's wife. Okay, I'll just say it, all the pastor's wife, not just the young ladies, who can benefit from the experience that you have, the knowledge that you have, being not just in the ministry, but being also the pastor's spouse. And can you, in this, you know, few minutes that we still have, just encourage, empower, and talk to the pastor's wife about, you know, just empower, just say the things that God has put in your heart, and for them to be encouraged, and to from here to just continue to do better and to be better leaders.
Okay. Yeah, to every pastor's wife there, I want to say that you are awesome. You are you are chosen for that position. Nothing happens
Wow.
in our lives by chance. So you're chosen
Mhm,
for that position, but still
mhm,
you need to work on yourselves. Make sure you study the topic of how to become better pastors' wives. Make
mhm,
sure you develop yourself. You read books. You watch um, like seminars, talks, you know, that will inspire you to be a better version of yourselves. Make sure that
mhm,
you have a voice, you find balance in the things, in the responsibilities that you have in your life. It will be good. It will be very good to have somebody that you trust, somebody that is very understanding, somebody you can
mhm.
talk to.
You mean as a friend, or as a mature someone, or as older someone?
I mean, it could be any, but
Okay.
the person must be matured. The person can be
Mhm,
younger than you. The person can be older than you.
mhm,
Um, somebody that is sane, you know, somebody
mhm,
that will understand your husband, that will understand you, somebody that will be able to tell you, oh no, you are getting it wrong here. And it would be good if
mhm,
the person also can talk to your husband, you know,
mhm,
maybe is the pastor of your husband or things like that. So I see that that is lacking a lot in ministry. You know, we don't
Mm.
have mentors. We don't have mentors. With
Wow.
what I know today, I
Mm.
think every pastor and every pastor's wife, at least once in a quarter, must be able to just go to somebody, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
talk about the challenges they have in the ministry, and
Mm-hmm.
just somebody to pray for them, somebody to encourage them. You know, they are
Mm-hmm.
not preaching, they are just talking and they are asking questions. I think
Mm-hmm.
mentorship is very important. But again, when we talk about mentorship in many Christians' fold, it's again the Bible, it's again preaching, it's again what
Mm-hmm.
you have to do. But they just need to, you know, sit down, one-to-one talk. There should be
Yeah.
one-to-one session, then if necessary, session with a couple, 50
Mm-hmm.
minutes, 1 hour. How do you feel about the ministry? What are your challenges? What would you like to change? Just, you know, talking. And also sometimes it's good to have therapy, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
massage, spa,
Mm-hmm.
because when you are in such a stressful profession, you need to be able to go to work fresh,
Wow.
out of all stress, because more challenges are coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
rest is very important. Yeah, getting enough rest, of course, learning to take all your burden to Christ, trusting
Mm-hmm.
God, knowing that you cannot be everything and you cannot solve everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it's inside you, and you have to work on yourself, develop yourself to find that balance that God has
Yeah.
already given you.
To find that balance within yourself also. So you
Yeah.
are not talking just
What
about the Bible side.
what you need is already inside you, but
Yes.
sometimes uncultivated,
Mm-hmm.
undeveloped,
Mm-hmm.
but it's already, nobody can help you better than you can help yourself.
Oh,
But
wow. Wow.
but not in an undeveloped stage, not in
Mm-hmm.
an
Wow.
inexperienced stage. But on the
Mm-hmm.
long run, after all the sessions, after all the therapies, you find out that, of course, you find out that you are your best teacher, you are your best healer, you are your best mentor. But you have to grow to that. You have to develop that.
You have to grow with that. But I love the thing that you're saying is just you're not giving us just the Bible side of go pray fast and and when you have a lot of stress go and fast for 40 days about that and you will come out stress
I
free.
mean, fasting for 40 days is an extra stress,
Oh
you know
wow. Mm-hmm.
sometimes we kill ourselves in Christianity, somebody
Mm-hmm.
that is already stressful, and then you are and fast is another stress on the body. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you just need to talk to somebody, sometimes you
Yes.
just need to take a walk in the park with somebody that understands you.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you get more result from that than
Mm-hmm.
fasting another 40 days. That's a big stress on the body. So,
Yeah.
so we really need balance. It's not
Mm-hmm.
everything that, I was telling somebody, if you have not registered on YouTube, I can help you. And
Mm-hmm.
I told the person, I don't even need to pray about that. It's what I can do. You just
Yeah.
register that on Gmail. So it's like that. Some things we can do, but again, we think I mean, somebody is already tense. Somebody is
Mm-hmm.
already at the verge of breaking down.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, we are recommending 40 days fasting. Are we serious?
Yes, so, because you are pastor's wife, so you have to pray, Lord. You have to be a woman of prayer. But what you're saying, we understand. You have to be a woman of prayer, but you also have to find the balance
Yeah.
because also this work have a lot of stress, is bringing a lot of stress. You have the stress from your husband, but also from yourself, from the people around and you need the balance and you also need some spa sometimes you need some sports sometimes you need some massage sometimes and just to have that balance for you to be able to function correctly.
And Nadine, there's another myth, and that is, you are responsible for your husband's success or for your husband's failure. I mean,
Wow.
pastor's wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
nonsense. So your
Mm-hmm.
husband can do anything he wants to do, and still you are responsible. for his success or for his failure. He said,
Yeah.
we put so much pressure, so much load on a fragile woman. You know,
Mm-hmm.
somebody must fight for women, somebody must
Mm-hmm.
defend them. So what's
Mm-hmm.
the husband responsible for? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I hear more like the pastor's wife is responsible either for the success or the failure of the husband. But I don't hear it as much as the man is responsible for the happiness of the woman. Again, the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Again,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes this lady, she gets pregnant, and getting pregnant, the stage
The
of going to
hormones and
raising,
everything.
yeah, raising little children, and still
Yes.
she is responsible. So what's the
Mm-hmm.
man responsible for goodness
Mm-hmm.
sake? There should be
Mm-hmm.
justice. It should, I
Yes.
mean, the husband should be responsible. The wife is a joint venture, it's a joint business. We have to
Mm-hmm.
stop abusing our
Mm-hmm.
we have to stop abusing women, even in that form.
Wow, I love what you're saying now, also abusing themselves.
Yep.
Also, a lot of women also abuse themselves by accepting a lot of things, but a lot of women also go through that abuse because they feel like they don't have a choice, because you always have a choice, but they feel like they don't have the choice, and then you just go through all this stress, and then that's why those young people coming up and see all these passers-by having these faces like they're all stressed out and all bitter and all they don't want to do that, and we want something better. We want
Yeah.
something, we want to see something else. And
Yeah. Yeah, and in our age of suicide, suicide is becoming rampant, and also,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
this last days, a lot of pastors have been committing suicide, and even pastors' wives are also
mm-hmm,
committing
mm-hmm,
suicide. So
mm-hmm.
we have to rescue ourselves. We have
Yes.
to relieve, I mean, reduce the stress we put on ourselves, and the
Mm-hmm.
stress we allow other people to put on us.
Wow, I love that. I love that. That was so wonderful. I cannot even believe that we've been talking for more than an hour. This is so interesting, and so and so many questions coming up, but I think for our viewers, just to be to have a video of 1 hour and 30 minutes is enough. But I am so thankful for everything that you have shared today, and I believe that a lot of women, especially pastors' spouse, but a lot of women who just benefit from that, what a lot of things that you have said today. So Pastor Bosse said a lot of things today. So if you tuned in later, just go back and watch the whole video from the beginning, and I'm sure you will be very, very, very blessed. And I'm blessed myself, and I believe that we are going, and we are in this season that we are going to have better, effective leaders and women in leadership, and also pastors' spouse, pastors' wives, the pastors, women as pastors, who are going to be really effective in this generation, in the generation to come, and we are going to impact, and we are going to do even things better and better, learn from the generation before, learn from the mistakes, learn from all the things and all the experiences, like from Pastor Bosse, is like all the experiences that you guys have. And I think that a lot of us out there, all the women are watching, we've been following you for many years now, and we are just inspired and blessed by your ministry, particularly as a woman minister, but also as the pastor's spouse, standing next to Pastor Sunday, and just continue to be as strong as you are, and just in your kind of like gentleness, like sweetness, and being such a powerful person. And sometimes I just ask myself, how come how do you do that, just to be so powerful, but just being a woman, and being so gentle and so meek, and I'm just like, I go like, she must be a child of God. She must have a relationship with God. Otherwise, with all those churches, with all those members, and with everything that you can have on internet written or said about you, or I think you have to be a child of God for you to
Thank
be.
you. Thank you.
I
It's
mean, this is
blessed.
such an example. I mean, you are such an example to all of us. And I pray God to really make me such an example for many also, because that's my goal, to really empower and to have better version of the women of today and tomorrow, better version to that they
Better.
will come, the better version will come from themselves. And if they can be inspired by somebody like me, somebody like you, and then, I believe that they will be just really, really effective in this generation, and we will have that. And I have the hope. I believe, and my belief is just it is so high at this
Oh,
moment, and i'm
I'm
i'm just capable.
I'm
I'm doing the
I'm
everything that I can do, and
thank
for us to have more of women, standing like you, and and whatever I can do, even in the middle of the crisis,
yeah.
I would do, so that the woman can have also the voice and
Amen.
can be blessed. And don't forget about our younger people who are coming. And because I've been working for more than 15 years with young people, and I've seen them growing, and I've heard a lot of questions, I've heard a lot of things, and I really want to stand there also for them to become really the better version of themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Thank, thank you very much. I have a project I will start very soon because most of my materials are in Russian language.
Mm-hmm,
So uh, I think either starting from next year, I will
mm-hmm,
start doing some things in English language and
mm-hmm,
translating also my materials in English so that
mm-hmm.
more people will be blessed and
Amen.
more people to make
Amen.
people a blessing, right? Yeah. So I
Amen. Amen.
have that in my plan. So
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for being such a blessing, and for willing to be a blessing, and for willing to let God use you in such a level. I thank you personally. You inspire me every time I watch you. Even sometimes I try to watch the preaching in Russian. But sometimes I just catch up some of the things, and I'm really sorry that I really forgot a lot of things in Russian.
don't worry,
But
I will make them available in English language.
yes,
I have a project before I'm 50,
okay.
to make that available. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being such an inspiration. And thank you for all of you who have been following us for the episode of today, The Pastor's Wife. And we have learned a lot. So go and watch the video again. So go and share it again with someone, and let them know that they will be definitely blessed with this episode. So I'm going to just give you the last word, and we're going to close and go offline.
Okay. My last word will be this. Nadine, I want to thank you again so much for this unique opportunity. And I want to thank the listener, the viewers, those who are present live, and many more people that will watch it
Mhm,
in the future. Life is an opportunity. Any position we have is an opportunity. But
mhm,
opportunity must be developed.
mhm.
Opportunities, they come in a raw form,
Mhm,
unprocessed. We have
mhm,
to believe in yourself and always working on
mhm,
becoming a better version
mhm.
of yourself.
Of
God
yourself, becoming a better version of yourself. Thank you very much, Pastor Bose, and thank you all for watching. And I will see you next time in another episode of Leadership. And from now, we just say goodbye to you. May God bless you. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for following. Bye bye. Bye.
bless.